Hello, everybody. It's Sharon and Sarah here from Content Sparks. And as you can see, I'm somewhere different here today. I'm actually in London in an Airbnb in a flat, very different surroundings. And I'm off tomorrow to another place, going to Istanbul. So you may see me somewhere else next time. I'm busy traveling. So today, though, we're going to be talking about a different topic that we haven't covered before called social selling. And this is a brand new course. It's called Social Selling Secrets that you'll maybe have gotten an email about or seen in our social media. That's the URL, contentsparks.com/social selling. So if you've ever heard of this term before, just say yes in the comments. I would love to know. So and say hello as well. So what I'm going to do today is go through some of the concepts of social selling, especially as it gets confused a lot with just general social media marketing or social or just networking on social media. And Elaine, good to see you. Glad you're here. Where are you dialing in from? Pop that into and whether you've heard of social selling before. But I'm going to go through that a lot and try to explain it and clarify exactly what it means and why it's so important and why you need to be learning it and teaching it to your audience as well. And of course, I'm going to use the materials from the new course to show you some of that. And we're going to talk about, what you get and how you can teach it. Some different examples there. And of course, Sarah's going to be chiming in throughout
with questions. My first chiming will be, I was saying to Sharon before this kicked off, that I felt this would be particularly good for our current economic climate where people have more time than cash because it's something that they can sit down and do for an hour a day. And Sharon's like, yeah, but this is good for any economic climate. Some people prefer to do it this way. But if you've got a particular audience who are struggling right now, this might be something that really appeals to them because you can get some incredible results really quickly once you start delivering the strategy that you put together. But that's all I'll say on it. And you can see whether, when you look through the content, whether you agree with me, whether you agree with Sharon, or whether you agree with both of us, because it really is, you can agree with both of us scenario.
And I'm going to pop up a statistic here that I just found that I think will show you a little bit about why social selling is so important. I just found this on a blog at HubSpot. 76% of buyers are ready to have a sales conversation on social media. So they're ready to have one there, but they don't want to hear from you over the phone. And they don't necessarily want to hear from you in some random email. They already get a ton of those as well. But social media, they are willing to talk about. Another stat from the same post, which I'm looking at the moment, Harvard Business Review said 90% of B2B decision makers never respond to cold outreach. So forget about the cold calling, cold outreach. It just doesn't work. And that's why social media, the social selling side works so well. Because when you develop your personal brand, your professional, showing off your professional expertise, sharing content that draws those ideal prospects in and who want to talk to you, you've moved them that much further down your sales process to the point where you're actually talking to them. They're ready to listen and have you help them. And eventually that leads to a sale. But the selling is not the first focus of social selling. And you'll see that everywhere where there's a reputable source on social selling. We had a lot of struggle with this and found that there were a lot of places where it was confused. So we've refined that down and found the good sources and put it all together into this learning experience on social selling. So that was just one statistic in there. Actually, let me show you the link to this great post, and I can put this in the chat. How's that? There. I'm just going to put that in the chat so that you can see. Let me see if it went through. It's trying. There it is. Okay. Okay. So what shall we start with?
I think we need to go with the slides so we can get the big picture. We can look at that nice roadmap and everyone can get a big overview of the course, because there's a lot in this program, because social selling is one of those things. And if you've ever had a random thing in your inbox, you'll know how bad social selling, or what is called social selling, can actually be. As you can see, I'm not a small girl. I'm quite overweight. And the reason for this is I have a disease known as PCOS. The amount of pitches I get for teas that will help me lose weight, slimming shakes that will help me lose weight, things like gastric bands and other surgeries, none of which would actually work for me. I probably get 5 or 6 of these a week. Now, if they'd have done some research, they would have seen that I actually openly talk about the PCOS, because it affects me in other ways, not just hanging on to every fat cell in my body, but other ways too. Yet these idiots don't say, I see you've got PCOS, what have you tried? And I have a conversation. No, they're like, I see you're overweight and you're looking to lose weight, because nobody wants to be fat. Have you tried this cappuccino flavored milkshake that's 3 calories that you drink 17 times a day? And it's guaranteed not to be a laxative. And I just want to go and smack my head against the wall. So social selling is prevalent, but completely and utterly wrong. And I think before they were on the weight loss teas, they were on Ray-Bans, trying to sell you Ray-Bans. And I mean, I'm sure they're pretty good sunglasses. I think I had a pair in the 90s, but you can't move for these people saying, oh, I see you going on holiday. Why don't you have these Ray-Bans? And I'm thinking, really? This should be a better way of doing this.
All right, so that makes sense for me to jump into that particular slide. So yeah, I know you're going to want to talk about that one slide in the presentation. I'm going to take this down, contentsparks.com/social selling, so that it is not in our way. This is just the sales page that you'll land on. And then I'm going to open up some of the materials. I'm going to open up that slideshow you were talking about in here in the instructor materials. So let me see if I can make this a little bit more visible for you. Sort of, kind of, sort of. There. That helps. I'm trying to hide the ribbon so that, there you go. All right, all these little quirks. Social selling secrets. So the thing that we were talking about, so I said social selling is helping you with one-to-one relationships and conversations on social media that start out with you helping people, listening, using what they call social listening to understand your prospects' needs. And we're focusing on individuals. So again, social media marketing is much bigger. Social selling is targeted one-to-one. And you're narrowing down to people who have a really good potential for sales, for what your specialty is. And you're going to use it to learn about, locate. There's a roadmap through the course that's on the sales page. I'm not going to go through that. Huh?
Yay, the roadmap.
The roadmap. I'm not going to go through it. You can look at the sales page. So what is social selling? And that's a learning objective.
So it's the slide 20 there that shows you the difference.
Yep, I'm getting there. It's one-to-one, build relationships. I'm getting there. The conversations and relationships are the primary focus in social selling. You're sharing content and knowledge to help your audience. You're listening to your audience, listening to your prospects. And the difference with social media marketing, where people get confused, there is some overlap because you're using some of the same tactics, but social media marketing is broader. It's more of a one-to-many strategy. You're broadcasting content to your whole audience. Social selling is much more targeted. You're finding your ideal prospects, trying to engage them, have one-to-one conversations, get a personal interaction. So it's a one-to-one strategy that leads to a sale. And there's a great slide in here about what it isn't. Okay. So before we get into more of what it is, there's this whole slide. So it's not making direct sales from social media platforms or marketplace. That is actually something called social commerce. All right. That is different. So don't think this isn't about setting up an online store on Facebook or Instagram. It's not sending out generic messages to spam people with discounts and prompts. So you're not just sending a generic message to a whole bunch of emails or messages on LinkedIn and saying, here's a coupon, here's a freebie, would you like it? It's much more specific, looking at individuals, and you're not pushing products on people by talking about the benefits. Just because you heard they want to lose weight, you're not just saying, oh, look, here we go. Here's a product and a shake that's going to be perfect that has this, 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 and this. No, it's not delivering that hard sell one-to-one. That kind of sales, nobody likes that. And it's not direct advertising. It's not social media advertising either. Sorry, I'm not keeping an eye out for comments. Any questions?
They've just come through. They do say that to me, Lorenzo. Maybe it's I've just got that face where they feel they can say anything to. And he's sharing with us that he gets hit up on Telegram about investing deals. So it's not just your inbox on Facebook, it's all of the apps that these people go for.
Yeah.
And hello, Andreas, from the land of myths and ancient wisdom. I'm going to go with Greece. Where are you going with, Sharon? I vote Greece.
I'll go with whatever you say, Sarah.
Hello, Andreas.
It's interesting, your experience, because I do have one good experience with social selling where a business coach who was following me direct messaged me on Facebook, I guess through the Facebook page, but she did an audio recording to introduce herself. And there was definitely an alignment with our audiences. Now, she wasn't necessarily selling me something. She was a little bit confused as to what I did and she did. So she just heard coach and coaches, but we ended up having a conversation about what I did, what she did, where there was a fit, and it's a potential partnership. So it wasn't going to be something that would go to a sale, but you never really know where things are going to lead. But she made it personal with an audio and had already been kind of following, but she didn't thoroughly do her research because she didn't really look at the website. So didn't quite work. Correct, Greece. Okay, Andrea said Greece.
Yep.
Close this out. So that's what social selling is not. It's not social commerce. It's not spam and direct messages randomly generic. It's not social media advertising. It's not general networking either, social media networking like one of our other courses, because that's more general networking to build your whole professional network of relationships. This is focused on finding people that you want to do one-to-one selling with. So it typically works best for high ticket items, not your $27 low ticket thing. All right, so let's keep going. I mentioned a lot already, the one-to-one calls, secondary goals. Also, some of these secondary goals, I think it's kind of hard for you to see. Anyway, I lost Sarah, so I'm going to keep on going through and go high level. So with the secondary goals, it helps you gain visibility in your target market, deliver value. Here, I can show you a little more. Tell me if you really can't see anything, okay? Since I'm trying to do most of this stuff, screen share. You can establish credibility, which leads to trust in your advice and guidance. You can find lead generation, prospecting prospects that's an alternative to cold calling or cold email. This is a big deal, and you'll hear this all the time with social selling, is salespeople are able to completely get rid of the whole thing of cold calling. Nobody wants to be on either end of that kind of call, where you just get the random spam on your phone constantly. And same with the text messages, just these random things, spamming people. Even if you have a very targeted call list, it's just painful for everyone. This gets rid of that, moves people further down the process. You actually get into a good conversation, have already been helping them or demonstrating that you can help them. I will tell you right now that Sarah we've lost, but she's coming back. All right. So let's see. So Elaine, you said your audience primarily direct sales reps. So this is going to be brilliant for them. Absolutely. Because this gets rid of the cold outreach side. People still use both to some extent, but a lot of salespeople have brought in the social selling and focusing more on that because, face it, it's not only more effective, it's more fun. I don't know anyone who likes to do cold calling. I had to do it once years ago, and I thought I was going to shoot myself if I had to do any more of it. It takes a certain type of person to be able to do that. All right, so the other things in here, customer retention, superior interaction. I don't know if you guys can hear my computer making a lot of noise. I'm sorry if it is. Build new and valuable business relationships. So there's a lot of different benefits. It's not just about the sale. All right. In fact, that's what comes after. It's part of your sales tactics, your sales strategy and process, but it's not the primary thing at the top of your mind. So in the course, you're going to have people identify one thing that's their high, what we call a high reward offer. So it's high ticket. That could be for coaches, that could be something like a coaching package or consulting package, but it depends on who your audience is. It could be something like high-end vacation packages, software. You'll have to think through your audience and what their high ticket offer is, where they would want to do one-to-one selling. So for people that maybe use free strategy sessions effectively now, this could be something that feeds into that, where they're doing the social selling and attracting leads there and then feeding them over to a strategy session. So it can work into a nice funnel that way. And I'll bet you have some people who do that. So they start with that. Oh, Sarah's back. Hey.
I got the bit about selling holidays and high-end things, and then it threw me again.
Well, we're glad to have you back. I was saying it can fit into a funnel for people that do any kind of direct selling, because Elaine was also saying she works with direct sales reps. And I said that, yeah, this will be brilliant for them. But it can also work for software sales or anyone that gets onto the phone or has other direct conversations as part of the selling package, selling process, coaching packages, high-end software, other tools. I'm blanking, but those sorts of things. If they do the strategy calls, like free strategy sessions, this can be the first part of that funnel to get them into those as well. All right. So let's see, what shall we go into? Let me keep going through. And anyone, if you have questions as we go, just pop them in, okay? If you're confused on any of it. Always going to have people set goals. So the goal primarily is getting leads who are then going to become customers. So you want to connect with different leads, but you're also increasing engagement and audience growth, web traffic, all of those sorts of things that you also need for social media marketing, you need for social selling. And you're going to be sharing content and branding and stuff like that, but focused on the individual. So we're going to look at metrics, different platforms. Let me skim through a little bit because these are kind of standard. So I want to get into the bit on social listening.
Yeah, that's really important. Otherwise, you land up targeting people like me for your cappuccino diet weight loss things. And I'm really not that person for those. And I don't like coffee. Can't stand it. I know that's really hard to believe, but I'm just not a coffee person.
And there are three types of people. So I'll go back. The goal in this particular lesson, which is in the module 2, find your market. Lesson 1 is identify your ideal customers for social selling and then focusing on the right social media platforms. So finding your market, you're going to use social listening to understand them. And social listening is, well, what it sounds like, really using social media to listen. And there are various tools you can use. So it only works, though, if you know who's going to bring you the best returns, right? Who's going to be the right leads for you. And you typically have 3 categories of leads: those you've known over a period of time and whose progress you're nurturing, so you're already working on that relationship; those you're interacting with online; and those you're kind of vaguely linked to as followers. So you haven't initiated any kind of conversation yet. And social selling gives you that opportunity. You can find them through social listening, where you tap into conversations that people are already having about their needs, and looking to see what they're talking about, what their real pain points are, what solutions they're looking for. There are some different tools, which I think are a little bit later in here. But one of the key things on social listening is correcting assumptions. So it's the assumption, like Sarah said, of, oh, you just want to lose weight, you'll try anything, you'll be interested in this, versus, oh, you've got, some other disorder, something, and there's something else that you need. So I think the example in here, let me see if there's an example in here. Yeah, so there's an example which is in the speaker notes. So you're not going to see this on the slide. This is something that you would tweak when you're teaching this and give an example that works for your audience. So in this one, it's a book coach who has a high-end mastermind coaching program for a small group, right? People have great ideas for books, but don't carry out the writing because they lack focus to see the project through. So you assume or believe that by providing intense, regular guidance, you can motivate them. But when you listen, you hear what they're saying on social media, you find they're discussing their frustration with all the distractions and pressures in their day-to-day, which is preventing them from concentrating on the writing. So that leads you to a question of whether that focus work with you is even going to be something that'll work. So instead, you put together a day out, like a get away from it all writing retreat instead.
And I'll be up for some of that sometime.
Yeah.
It's just nice to have a different environment, and it really helps you clear your head and write better, whether it's blog posts, a book, or something else. So if you're offering a retreat, social selling is a great way to make those connections and have those conversations.
Exactly. And the point is, if you weren't doing the social listening and really paying attention to people's conversations, you wouldn't know. So you can't just be so invested in your own solution, your own ideas, that you aren't open to being wrong and having to do things. You just put here, let me go back and then I'll look at that comment. So what about the mid-ticket offer? Andrea said, how to integrate a coaching funnel for coaches.
It works with a mid-ticket offer if it's more than, say, $500. If it's less than that, you can find you're invested in a lot of time for not a lot of profit. So it depends on your business model. If you're, say, software as a service, you may be charging $500 a month, and that may be your mid-ticket offer, so it may be worth doing. But if $500 is your mid-ticket offer, and you're probably talking to somebody and having a conversation over, say, 6 weeks, you could find it's a lot of time invested for the profitability of your offer. So I think it really depends on your offer. and the profitability of your offer. If there's not a lot of profit in it, it doesn't matter whether it's high ticket, mid ticket, or low ticket. If there's not a lot of profit, it's a lot of work for almost no money. If there's a huge amount of profit in it, you can justify the time spent with somebody getting their thoughts, their perceptions, nurturing them, seeing if it's right for them, and then making the sale. So it really just depends.
Yeah, it also depends on whether people want to talk to you before they actually buy. You know, depending on what it is. Now, that's going to depend on who your people are and what does mid-ticket mean. You know, 500 might be mid-ticket to Sarah. It might be high ticket to someone else in a different area. And you have to look at your time and what it's worth where you are. But it's particularly, the social selling is particularly important for anything where a one-to-one conversation is required. A business model where something requires a one-to-one conversation for very low ticket items is not a great business model, really. It doesn't scale well if it requires a lot of your time. So you have to think about that as well. Is there a way to build in some more things that don't require a one-to-one conversation along the way, but that can still convert people? All right. So low ticket to mid ticket often will work without a one-to-one conversation. You know, because if they get, depending on what the low ticket is, if they get any kind of interaction with you after they've purchased a low ticket, they may then be ready to buy the mid-ticket offer. So, okay. So coaching funnel for coaches. Let us know if that answered your question, because I wasn't entirely sure. Social listening. So social listening, we talked about assumptions. There's some tech. So whatever your tech is, make sure it's something where you can actually see conversations and do alerts and stuff like that on whatever you use. We use Promo Republic, but I've used Hootsuite in the past until they raised their prices to something ridiculous.
And they're raising them again.
Yeah, it's crazy. But there's other ones, Buffer, Radar. Take a look and see, based on what platforms it actually looks at, whether you can get alerts and stuff as well, because then you're going to need to set it up. So look at the social media channels. Does it integrate with other tech tools that you have? What it would cost if you take a paid version, search functions, analytics, all those things are going to be important for a social selling tool. Some people just use LinkedIn Navigator if everything's on B2B. So LinkedIn Sales Navigator, which I believe they coined the term social selling index. That's where you can find your social selling index. A lot of people just use LinkedIn. All right. But don't assume, again, that that's where the best place is to interact with people. A lot of people on LinkedIn are getting sick of being spammed with direct messages. I know I am. When you've chosen your tool, let's see. So you can set up your alerts, keywords, and keep an eye out on what prospects are interested in, how they like to interact, all that fun stuff with social selling. Now there's a tracker and a planner in with this course. So let me open up the tracker so you can see. We always have that action guide. You may have seen it before. So there's the straight action guide, which goes with all the action steps on every single lesson. So I'll open that first just so you can see. So as you take people through the course, there's places to fill in answers to various things. So you can see, identify your ideal customers, and then they start with the social selling tracker as they go through the course. So that is a spreadsheet here that has 2 tabs for individual contacts and competitor data, because you can use the social selling tools for keeping an eye on your competitors too. So we've got individual contacts in here. You can keep track. There's a lot of these tools on social media aren't great really for tracking your individual contacts. You can try and get them into your CRM, so customer relationship management system, but I haven't really seen a great tool. So if you've heard of any, pop it in because I'd love to know. But keeping a lot of people I know just keep a standard spreadsheet. These are the people I want to connect with. As you meet new people on social media, putting it in, putting their contacts, what's the best way to contact them, where, and keeping track of interactions you've had. So there's a few different columns in this tracker. You'll have people gradually start filling it in. Dates, follow-ups, and then there's something on competitors. So you can write down names of competitors and contact details. There are some tools where you could follow people anonymously. Like if you're using Twitter, you can have a private list if Twitter's still around by the time we, finish this launch. I think it will be. I don't know if there's anyone working there anymore. But you can have private lists there where you're just keeping an eye on competitors as well. So that's the tracker they're going to go through. And also by the end of the course, you're going to have people fill in a social selling plan. And this is what they're going to do daily, what they're going to do weekly. So if I make this more a one-page thing, I think you can see it better. So scan for topical content, answer inbound questions and comments, and respond to DMs, review anyone who's asked to connect and follow you, reach out to nurture prospects, find one new lead. So you can have a checklist every day. People can customize this if they want. Time slot, weekly, they fill in when are they going to do their weekly social selling plan, work on it. Review leads, review social listening alerts, all different tasks. So this is a nice little 2-page thing that you're going to give people at the end of the course or in one of the last modules. Okay. Any questions so far? Other comments?
What I was thinking is, next time I get one of these spammy people socially selling me the bad way, I'm going to send them my affiliate link to this course and say, look, you clearly need some help. Go and get this. I could be really rich, if I'm getting about 5 of these a week and 2 of them buy, at the end of the year, I could be your biggest affiliate. Or maybe the end of next year.
Wait a minute.
Not the end of this year.
You're not just going to record them this weekend and put them up on your academy and sell it?
Not got time this weekend.
No. Okay. Maybe over Christmas.
Well, yeah, there is those 2 days, the 25th and 26th of December, where I've got nothing planned. No. So I could do it then.
Yeah, you got all day.
Yeah.
So let's see. There was another module focusing on social media platforms. You know this. I want to go into a different one. There's a whole bunch of different platforms. Take out whatever isn't relevant for your audience. Remember, customize this to your audience. Don't just have the section on TikTok and leave it in there if it's of no value and not something you even want to talk about. I would take it out for me, but I know people use it. Ugh, sorry, I hate TikTok. Mind you, somebody just shared the funniest video with me, so I shouldn't say it. And they had no clue what they were doing because they actually downloaded it as a MP4, I think, and somehow sent it to me as a video, not a TikTok link. Not that I have any
I sent you a TikTok once about this cat that was jumping around the bath, and you were like, oh, that's so cruel. And I'm like, oh, I'm never going to send it again.
Okay, so there is something in here again on knowing your competitors in your markets, so setting up social listening for keywords relating to your competitors as well. All right, so social listening, huge part of social selling, and they'll work on that. Another huge part of social selling is your personal and professional brand. So your personal brand and having it consistent, because that is going to attract people in to want to talk to you. That and the content that you share and the content and the comments and interactions you do on social media. So personal is who you are, your values, personality, passions. Professional is how you can help people, your expertise. Who are you as a thought leader? Are you a thought leader? right? And that's something you want to build up. And there's a little bit on that: personal is values, professional is expertise. There's some templates. There are different things that you can do speaking about your expertise and building that, sharing insights, multimedia content, all these different things, gaining visibility through articles and podcasts. So this is a big, important module. And there's also making sure you have that on different channels. So you can look at your SSI on LinkedIn. Now, here'd be something interesting to do. How about if we go, I'm afraid to share this. I have to look at it first before I share it. I'm going to go to LinkedIn and see what my SSI is. Maybe I should look up yours instead.
Yeah, I'm looking up mine now. Do you want me to share my screen?
Sure.
Okay, share screen.
Oh, it won't show me.
Chrome tab.
I have to go into LinkedIn.
How do I find social selling index? There it is. Right. Increase your social selling index score with B2B data from Get Started.
Oh. Did you find yours?
No, I just clicked the Get Started, so yeah, I don't know what that does.
So I do very little on LinkedIn, but it shows me that I have a lot of things I could work on.
Oh, look at that. I've got 53 out of 100.
Oh, well done. I've got 48 out of 100. I have top 31%, top 34. I'm not impressed with myself here. People in your network have an average SSI of 41. I'm in the top 34%. I'm not that impressed with my SSI, but then I don't do one-to-one selling, so I suppose it's not really relevant to me. But what about you, Sarah?
I don't do one-to-one. I do the building of my audience, as in I actively connect with people who I believe are the right people for me. Sometimes I do a bit of outreach where if I was involved in a podcasting affiliate promotion and I'd had a product in it, but I'd stopped podcasting. I only did it for about a year, about 5 years ago. And I found everybody with podcaster in their bios who were actively podcasting. And then I sent them a message and a conversation and did they want to take a look? And I had some lovely conversations with people and I made about $3,000 in sales. So I know lots of people say it doesn't work, but it depends on the conversations that you have. I know we've tried it for you, Sharon, and we spoke to your cousin who was a coach, but you didn't know that. And I know that I've done it with other people. One of my clients is an electrician and he's had some great opportunities. So it really just depends on how up to date your audience keep their profiles, the type of conversation. If you all go in heavy pitch, you're no worse than the cappuccino weight loss people. That's exactly the bracket you're falling in. If you go in with the conversation and the aim to be helpful, then you'll have some snotty LinkedIn veterans that say, oh no, this is wrong. But if you're having a proper, decent conversation, then I can't see the harm in it, particularly on LinkedIn. Because out of all of the social media platforms, they're more predisposed to buying than any other platform. They're open to the conversations because it's a business platform. Business is firstly and foremostly at the top of their mind.
Yeah. I've definitely hired people via meeting them on social media, seeing them on social media. Branding person I hired once was because I saw her comments in a group I was in and I engaged with her and had a conversation with her. It was back and forth. And I said, you know what? I need this person, and ended up hiring her.
Yeah.
You know, Sarah, I saw you from social media, from your comments and stuff. You know, those sorts of things like coaching and consulting are great for social selling. That is social selling. You're basically sharing and showing your expertise showing that you can help, and then people reach out to you, and before you know it, you're having a sales conversation.
What you can't do is give up at the first hurdle. We know somebody who doesn't like to use the @everyone tag in the Facebook group because somebody told them off for it. One person. Now, I use it in my group. I use it once a week, whether they like it or not. And I usually send them to a video where I say, hey, how you doing? What you been up to? Come and share your stuff. This group is for you. Share your freaking content in here. And they tend to be okay about it. But every person is different. You can't give up the first time the door is slammed in your face. You don't know what that person's experienced. They could have been on the end of the cappuccino weight loss, and every person who comes into their inbox is now one of these spammers when you're actually a decent human being. You just got to keep going till you find your groove. And I think that's a really important thing, that if you give up at the first hurdle, you're not really listening to your audience, because they're there. They want answers. They want solutions. That if you're not having that conversation, how do they know that you can help them? You're not doing them a service if you're not engaging with them. Even if the answer is no, it doesn't mean no forever.
Yeah.
Anybody who's got kids will tell you that. It's usually after the 15th, no, go away, no, leave me alone. You sort of say, oh, well, go on then, but just, I don't want to know anything about it. Go away. And that's how my kids got tattooed the weekend.
No comment. All right, where were we? I was talking about social media, building your branding, calculating your social selling index, reviewing your profiles, making sure they're consistent. I like one thing is drafting a message to pin to the top of your platform, so it's the first thing people see, so they see what your expertise is. So those are all good. And then there's a whole module on create and share conversation-worthy content. So conversation-worthy content, not just here's something interesting or funny or entertaining, but something that people will want to talk to you about. So there's 3 different lessons in here: content encourages it, conversations, how to start the conversation, and how to move the conversation along. So this is really the part where you're getting from the inbound. You're putting content out that will draw people in and then engaging them in conversation. So that, of course, is going to be different for every audience always, but it helps to start with what's working now. So look at where you've gotten comments and engagement. So if I could look in my customer group and go through and see, okay, do people interact more with a poll, and I got into conversations with people there, or just asking for recommendations. I find that in general, when you ask people about their tools that they use and what they recommend, that always works. Challenges, stuff like that. But posting an image, not so much. That doesn't really inspire conversation. Short questions versus long questions, little videos, how-to videos, what's getting conversations, what are people engaging with? So look at what you have now and what's working.
The little videos are a really powerful way of starting a conversation. I had several high-end clients through doing, it was a program that I was doing with my academy people. We were doing 30 days of live video, and I'd done 4 days, and every single day I had a really good quality lead in my inbox. And that again was on LinkedIn. That was, these were, I think they were less than 5-minute videos, because that was the purpose of just doing a short video, something that showed people how to do something to position yourself as the expert. And I don't even think there was a sales pitch on the end of mine, because I was so nervous. So
what kind of reactions did you get, conversations you got into from those videos?
From those videos, I got more likes. And the first one, when I put it up, I was like, oh, I've got 10 likes. I don't normally get a lot of likes on things over there. funny thing is, LinkedIn, I get a tremendous amount of traffic from. Next to Google search, LinkedIn is my highest number of traffic. So my content is popular on there, but I don't get a lot of likes. And people say, oh, you don't get a lot of likes, you don't get a lot of engagements. And I'm like, hello, they're coming to my website, they're going on my email list, they're talking to me via email. What you're looking for and what you're seeing, two different things. And I wasn't expecting anything because I was surprised by the likes. So when I got the first two messages, I was like, oh, this is quite exciting. This has not really happened to me before. But it wasn't just happening to me. It was happening to other people who were doing the program as well. So it's a common thing that when people can see you and you're demonstrating some aspect of your expertise, if they want it, they'll start the conversation with you first off, which I guess is the reverse of social selling.
No, not at all. That is the purpose of social selling, is they're coming to you. You're not reaching out to them. You will eventually if they haven't and you're already going back and forth with them. But in social selling, they are coming to you because you're showing all this stuff that's helping them. So both things happen. Absolutely. In fact, I think that's the next part of the course.
Is it? Hey.
I think so, because we talk about content. And what's interesting, just another point on your videos, how people respond once they've actually made that first contact, it really, the ball is in your court. So I'll have videos where someone just says, thanks. They'll reply and say, thanks. Well, that's an opening to ask, oh, what did you like about it? What did it help you with? And then you start in a conversation, you get to learn more about them and what really helped them, what other challenges they have, what other content you can create. And it's a one-to-one conversation. And sometimes the next question is, oh, do you have anything on XYZ topic? Well, oh, yeah, actually, I do. And here you go. So, yeah, that's social selling. Where's my mouse? Okay. So, mix up formats, a lot of stuff on content. I'm not going to go more into that. And then start the conversation. There we go. Start with interacting with comments on social media. That's where it starts. Saying hello. So there's inbound and there's outbound. There's inbound is when they contact you or mention you. Outbound is when you contact them and initiate the dialogue. They're both part of social selling and getting into conversations. So
see, I learned something there because I didn't think the inbound was social selling. I'm going to have to do this on me first.
I highly recommend it. No, but you put the content out and then somebody messaged you. That's social selling. You help them. You built your reputation. They know that they can come to you. You know something about this and they contacted you. Social selling. And then you had a conversation and maybe you made a sale from it and got some business. So that's the inbound conversations. And you want to, ask questions, talk about the interactions, stuff like that, you can start. And then there's a whole section on dealing with criticisms, because this is another thing that is sometimes inbound, where people share their opinion. Yes, sometimes it's not so good an opinion, but it can be a good thing because you can resolve it, you can get more information from it. So you need to have ways set up for dealing with that kind of thing. Have some guidelines set up for how you're going to deal with it. So it can actually help your brand versus damaging it. So that's all part of the social selling offshoot. Have some guidelines set up. You can leverage automation still, even though you're trying to do personalized, you can have a friendly automated response. So that's built into a lot of these platforms like Facebook, where you can have an automated response and then you just have to have alerts so that you know it's coming in. Outbound. So as you've been doing your social listening, you're accumulating lists of leads. And ideally, you want to eventually get them off the social platform and into your direct messages and eventually in an even a phone conversation if that's the one. A lot of the selling isn't, or some of the selling is not necessarily a phone conversation. It could just be direct message and email even. So there's some about that, doing homework. Make sure you really have researched them, not like what happened to you, Sarah,
Yeah.
before you go contacting somebody. This is the part you were thinking of, Sarah, the more outbound. But it works both ways in social selling. Follow up with content. This is kind of like traditional sales also, where you're reaching out to people, but you're able to do it in a much more natural, helpful way. You're not just calling.
Yeah. It's funny, we've done training with salespeople, and the thing that they struggle with the most is the ideal customer. When they go prospecting, they sit there and they say, who needs my XYZ? And then they go and hunt them down. They don't create a persona. They don't think deeply about the products or problems that they've tried and they're experiencing or anything. So we had a whole series of salespeople come to us, and once we introduced them to the ideal customer and creating the profile, they're like, how comes we don't do this? How comes we've never done this before? And it's really, really interesting to see how certain industries and certain people sell, because they completely bypass chunks of it, which would make it so much easier and so much better for them and for their prospects.
And Donna, hi, I just saw your comment. Your phone
Hey, Donna.
auto connected and we came on. So you didn't actually ask to listen to us. We just sort of popped into your car and started, and you heard us talking.
Whole new meaning.
Wow. I'm glad to see you here though. And you're coming to us, you're listening in on LinkedIn. So we do multi-stream to Facebook, YouTube, and LinkedIn so that at your preferred platform you can listen in on. So good to see you. I'll try not to refer to any visuals since it's better for you to keep your eyes on the road. Okay. So we were actually getting close to the end of going through the materials in the presentation on social selling. We were talking about starting a conversation and inbound and outbound, how people will contact you, but you can also contact them once you've started to interact a bit and direct message them. So you could, and when you do, I was saying that a while back, someone direct messaged me with an audio introduction, and that made a huge difference because most of the time I just get these DMs or emails that are so generic. But here was a voice behind it, made a big difference. So you could do an audio or a video, who you are, why you're reaching out, what you've already referenced, something you already know. And there's a tracker in here that you can use to start to do the planning. So you want to always be tracking whoever you're contacting and what you've done and where you saw them and any interactions you've had with them. So always keep track of that. And as part of your plan, have a certain number each day that you want to contact. Don't be surprised if you don't get an immediate response. Sarah, you mentioned before, don't immediately give up, because you'll never get anywhere if you give up on the first go, on the first no. Respond authentically. And then the last lesson in that module on the conversations is how to actually move the conversation along. Now, this is not a module on sales skills. We have a whole course on sales skills and how to have a sales conversation and understanding people's needs, doing that sort of, what do we call it? There's action-based coaching skills and there's essential selling skills. So the sales skills one goes through very customer-focused.
Would that be a good program skills to go with this? I'm thinking curriculums.
Absolutely, because this overlaps in the beginning part of the sales process. And then once you do get talking to someone, if they haven't already purchased, because sometimes with social selling, they're already that much further along, you don't have to do that much to bring them to whatever the right solution is and have them buying. But essential sales skills has a whole range of skills for asking the right questions and and listening and getting to the root cause and things like that. So yeah, that's a perfect addition to this. So the learning objective in this module is around nurturing the relationship, moving to the next stage, helping, and then introducing products when it's appropriate. So most of the time you're doing the listening, which is what selling is all about, is really listening and asking questions so you can match them up with the right solution. And there's a few tips in here about that. So there's some don'ts, like don't ask for a favor, don't ask for a sale, don't send something generic.
Oh,
Remind them.
Those hi,
a generic hi, how are you?
I ignore those. They could be selling me exactly what I was looking for, but I haven't got time. Hi, how are you? And all this social nicety. Right? I just wish they'd come out and say, hey, Sarah, I hope you're having a good day. Blah, blah, blah. Are you open to chatting for 5 minutes right now?
No. Do that to me and it's instant ding, delete.
Now, when I was in recruitment, they would say, you want the no's, because every time somebody is too busy or saying no to you, by the time you get round to the third or fourth trying to connect with them, they feel terribly guilty. And then they take your call and then they have a conversation and they're half sold on what you're selling.
Okay, now, that would never work with me.
Now.
It will never work with me. I will block you. I will instantly. I get those all the time.
Oh, glad you're home safely, Donna. Highly recommend the packages. Yes, we love Content Sparks. It's amazing materials. And I hope you take a look at this one because it's looking really, really good.
By the way, going back to do you have 5 minutes right now to have a conversation? No, never. If I don't know you. But I will see a comment on social media. And if it's something I can reply to quickly that looks interesting, I will. And that by the point you ask me if I can have a conversation, if I already know who you are and see that you have a lot of expertise that I'd like to tap into more, hear more, then I might. I wouldn't do it immediately because I have no ever a time in my day where I can immediately pick up the phone. That's reserved for the kids and maybe my husband, and that's about it.
Maybe the husband. I'm the same. The only people that can get through on my phone are the kids. My father-in-law rang my husband and he said, I'm trying to speak to Sarah, but I haven't got her number. What's her number? And my husband says, I'm not giving it to you because she will kill me.
And it's funny you said the other thing, because this is an example, depending on different styles. You've got one example. We've been in touch now for a few months. I've really enjoyed our exchanges, hearing your views. How about we have a quick live call to get to know each other? I've got some time next week if you're free.
Oh, can I share a little story about one of these?
Sure.
There's a really nice guy called something Romero. I think it's Casey Romero. I think it's C Romero. So if you go looking him up, throughout the pandemic, from when lockdown happened to the August of when we finally released in England, he messaged every week just a, hi, how you doing? Is everything okay? And they came so frequently and they were so sweet that I started responding back. And he was a virtual stranger to me. And then in the August, he said, I'm doing a virtual networking with all the people that I've spoken to during the pandemic. Would you like to come along? Now, I don't normally do these things, social anxiety, talking to people. And I went along and it was really lovely. He was a really nice bloke online as he was in person on LinkedIn. So this does work because it worked on me. To this day, I have no idea what the guy's selling, but he was nice, he was pleasant in his outreach, he was persistent in it, and I showed up. And I said to him, I said, if you have another one of these, invite me along, because I loved it so much. But I don't think I fit his profile, because he's never invited me back since.
All right. Donna's already asking me if I have 5 minutes to talk right away. I said, no, but I could schedule it. Donna, you probably weren't here earlier, but I'm actually just packing. I'm in London right now, and I'm leaving tomorrow morning early for Istanbul. So I'm on a totally different time zone too. I don't know how I'm going to manage it. Istanbul is 3 hours earlier than here, which is 8 hours earlier than New York, which would be 11 hours earlier. No, 10 hours earlier. Later.
From New York.
Later. Wait.
Colorado.
Yeah, we're 8 from Colorado. 8.
Yeah,
no,
mine is 8 or 7.
7. It's 7. 7 from Colorado, 10 to Istanbul. So Colorado is 10 hours behind Istanbul. Mm-hmm. Does that make sense? Completely. And then I'm going on to Egypt and Israel, and that's 2 hours difference. So I'll be going back again. My head's spinning.
But your passport will have lots of nice new stamps.
Yeah, I've never been to Istanbul or to Egypt. We're going to go see pyramids. Yay! All right. So let's finish up here because we're over time and I haven't even looked at anything else. So there's all this stuff on nurturing. And then finally, at the end, putting together the social selling plan, which I showed you earlier, is more about what you're going to do daily, what you're going to do weekly. And then that is the end of the course. How do you like that? I just rushed right through the end there.
It's like you were on speed, fast forward.
Yeah, I just thought about that suitcase and how I'm going to fit the rest of the stuff in.
Okay, so what are the bonuses with this, Sharon?
Bonuses. There are good bonuses in here. So the launch bonuses, you know that this is one of our Blaze, our full product, full course funnels that has the lead generation materials as well, a lead magnet and stuff. And with these, in the first few days, we always do that challenge kit. So we take that lead gen opt-in report and we make it into a 5-day challenge. So there's a challenge in this one and there's an assessment. So the challenge, which is based on that lead generation report, is called 5 Steps to Start Using Social Selling for More High-Ticket Sales. So this is great because it will get people started in understanding what social selling is, and then they'll be ready to do more with the course. So we've got define your brand, set conversation goals, identify your ideal prospects, leverage your tech, and identify conversation-worthy content. Now in the course, they're doing all this in more detail, but in the challenge, they do some quick wins on each one. So for example, remember you get 5 emails and then 2 more for promoting your course. I'm just scrolling down to see the action steps. So like in the first action step, they're auditing their area of expertise, what message they want to give people, and they create a statement. There's much more in the course where they're working on identifying all of that, what they want to be a thought leader on, and their branding. Then they have conversation goals and things like that. So that's the challenge that comes with this, the 5-day challenge kit and worksheets. But the other one, because we normally just have one, this one has 2, has an assessment that's both in DocX and Canva. I'll open the DocX.
I have to say, I'm really loving the assessments. Since you've done that pack in the summer, I've just been so excited.
So this one is called, whoops, hide this. Yeah, why is this not? Okay, anyway, it's not showing me. It's frozen. There we go. Assessment, will social selling work for me? So this is an assessment where they have a whole bunch of questions, always, sometimes, never. And then they get a score that they put in, and then there's a key, what the score means. Always, sometimes, never. and it helps them decide whether social selling is right for them. And then, let's see, one of the things say your scores show that you're perfectly positioned to use social selling. Here, let me make this bigger because I can't even read it staring at it on my screen. There's a definition. So we have your scores show you're perfectly positioned, et cetera, et cetera. Training can help you fill the gaps, and then you can have a call to action to your course. In the middle, we've got your scores show that you have many of the elements needed to benefit. You're comfortable on social media, et cetera. But training can help you with the practical steps. So think about whether you have the time, commitment, et cetera. And the lowest one says your scores show that social selling may or may not be a good fit. So you don't want to be totally negative, right?
If they're having a bad day and you're saying, no, this isn't for you, then
you also
positively.
You also want to filter out people who are really not appropriate for the course.
Yeah.
And so this is a perfect assessment for lead generation so that you can also filter out those people and you get the right ones. So this is something you could also offer to people on social media who are leads and say, who are interested in social selling, say, oh, I have this is going to be helpful to you, and have them go through that. So this is really great. And it's also in Canva.
Hello, lovely. We haven't seen you for ages.
Oh, hi, Marcia. It's good to see you.
New concept for you. It is for me. I thought that I was well versed in it, but no, this is something that I think is really quite exciting.
Yeah, this is something that I learned a lot about as we were going through. I thought I knew, and as we started looking at things, I found that I didn't really understand it. And there was a lot of conflicting information. So there was a lot of information about social that confused it with social media marketing because there is some overlap. And there was confusion about social media commerce, which is having a store on Facebook or an Instagram. That's not social selling either. Social selling is much more the one-to-one selling, though, instead of cold calling or cold outreach.
I think if you've got an audience that will be interested in it, using this assessment at the beginning is key, because they could be exactly like myself and Sharon, not understanding what it is. We think we know, but as you dig deeper, it's actually something better, something nicer. And oh, look, Canva. I love what Canva's doing lately. And I love that we have these templates in Canva as well.
This assessment is in Canva, so you can see that it's easy. And you can always zoom in on something to be able to see it better. I did a whole thing on Canva that I think, when am I sending that out? Is that this weekend? No, I think that's next weekend. I was doing a new post with some Canva tutorials. I think I'm sending that out next weekend. I don't know what day it is. I don't know where I am, what day it is, what country I'm in, what time zone I'm in. No idea. So this is part of that bonus, the launch bonus. Will social selling work for me? And you can use it in the docx and make it a PDF, or you can do it in Canva if you want to use some of the features of Canva on here and change it. Just one point, and I talk about this in one of my Canva tutorials. If you want to change any of the styles in here and you like the ones in Canva where you want to use something similar, like a similar background, if you apply that as a template, do not apply it to the same page. Do it as a new page. So just a little Canva trick. Otherwise, you'll end up replacing the whole thing. So in this case, say I want to add this. It'll ask me, replace the current page or add as a new page. I'm going to add it as a new page, and then I haven't lost my previous content, but I could copy and paste stuff in. So total aside, this is just my copy there. Okay. But that's the bonus that you get as well. And that is everything. Obviously, there's more content as well.
Is there an upgrade with this, Sharon?
There's always an upgrade.
There's always an upgrade.
Actually, that's not true. That's not true. There's not always an upgrade, but there is an upgrade. So that has the module quizzes and sales page copy in it, which is
We
here.
absolutely need the module quizzes because I like using those as little lead generating videos. I think they're fantastic for that. But they're also good for testing knowledge at the end of the course. And it makes your course look more professional when you test their knowledge and that you ask them. It stops people from taking a course and saying, I didn't get anything from that.
Exactly. And here you can see that there's a whole bunch that's in this upgrade pack.
Yeah. These are real good refund reducers and help people talk positively about their experience.
It's funny how we think of things so completely differently. I don't think of it as refund reducers. I just think of it as learning enforcers or not learning enforcers, but reinforcers.
And of course, our famous sales page magic template. If you've never seen one of these before from us, you are in for a treat here because you can see all these rainbow colored bits. They're what personalize it for you. So this really rapidly, instead of sitting there looking at the sales page thinking, oh gosh, I've got to write a sales page, what am I going to write, what am I going to say, and generally taking too long and spending a whole afternoon on the sofa eating chocolate thinking, should be writing the sales page, should be writing the sales page. This just blasts that out of the water. With this template, you can get something knocked out in about an hour, maybe 2 hours if you've never used it before. And what you get is so unique and personal to you that you won't ever want to go to anyone else's templates again. Now, I realize that's a bit strong saying that, but when you get your hands on this, you will see how powerful it is, because you can see at the beginning, at the top, we encourage you with different headlines so you can customize it to your audience, to what they would like. And we have sections where you add the testimonials. They're the purple ones there. And the gold ones, gold, money, riches, wealth, that's your buy buttons when you see those. Now you'll notice through the template that they're spread out. The gold buy button isn't just at the end, it's in multiple places. That's because somebody may be convinced much higher up your sales page, and you don't want them having to scroll and scroll and scroll and scroll to get to the bottom to give you money. So they're nicely interspersed in the content. You get the opportunity to share your story. So it's not somebody else's fake story. It's something really relevant to you. And flip to the next one, Sharon. Yep. And you get the nice bits where you can talk about the modules and the learning objectives, so that somebody who's reading your page really knows what they're buying. So again, it's another refund reducer, that you don't have somebody say, I didn't know what I was getting. And your sales page was so vague, I thought I was getting this, but what I actually got was something completely different. You don't get that with our templates. You don't get fluff. You just get really nice content that you can adapt and use and generate sales from.
Yep. And what I recommend is that you do it in portions. Obviously, you're going to edit, and that's not just in the places where we show you, but in general, whatever makes sense to you and your audience. But use a sales page builder that has your branding, build something that you like the flow of, and do it in blocks so that you can move things around and test things. So you might put your list of modules in one block, you'll put your testimonials in a block, put your guarantee in a block. And that way, if you see, okay, I need to move the testimonials up, it's very easy to do that in a sales page builder. We've done that where I hired a conversion optimization expert, and he said, oh, your guarantee box has to be higher up on the page, and your testimonials have to be higher up on the page. But because I was using Thrive Architect, it's very easy to do and just move those up. And we can test it too. So with this sort of sales page copy, have your own template that you gradually build and are happy with and move things around as you need to, even create 2 versions if you're ready. All right, so just a little tip. That is everything that I'm going to talk about, unless anyone has any other questions, but I think we're well over time. And I'm just going to stop and go back to us.
New York is 6 from England.
No, it isn't. It's 5. Where are you? You're not in New York. Oh, are you in a different part of New York State that's a different... Anyway, thank you, Donna. New York City is 5 hours from London. And then it's 8 hours to Turkey and 7 hours to Egypt and Istanbul. And for anyone who's coming in late, that's because that's where I'm going next, is Istanbul. So if you have any tips on restaurants, it's totally different from social selling. We're going to wrap up now.
Andrea says, more details on the 5-day challenge. Do I choose the white label ready to course teach? Yep, that's what you choose. And if you get it before next Wednesday midnight, you get the 5-day challenge. And sometimes the 5-day...
No. That's
program.
I don't think that's what you're talking about, Andreas. You're talking about the free online course challenge, the 5-day course challenge, correct? If that's what you're talking about, the free one that we do does come with a mini course on time management, or you can use one that you purchase. So you could take something like this social selling course and go through the steps of that online course challenge to put it together and quickly get it up online. We focus in the 5-day challenge on using the slides to get it up quickly, rather than trying to do a lot with the course book. So you can do it either way. Just know that for the social selling, if that's one that you really are interested in, that makes sense for you, that launch price is the lowest price you can get. And that's only in the beginning when it's first released.
Yeah.
Otherwise, the biggest discount we have is 50% off on certain things on sales and in our annual sale. Like you can use a coupon. I think there's a coupon that you get with the free challenge for 50% off one course. There's something else you want.
Available on the launches though, is it?
You can't use the coupon on something that's already discounted.
No,
it's already 67% off. So yeah, and that's it. So definitely do that as well. Either use the free one that's in there, or one that you purchase, or both. So if you're brand new to it, I suggest trying it out with the free little mini one to get comfortable. There are no specific dates. It's self-paced. So people are joining all the time. Every day, new people join and go through. And because it's self-paced and all the content is actually in one of our online course platforms in New Zenler, you can do it at your own pace. Just don't let it drag on too long. It's set up to do for 5 days, but you can start it and end it when you want to. And there's a community there too. So you can always ask questions in the community. There should be links to that right inside. So we use New Zenler, which we definitely recommend for online courses. I use either New Zenler or Teachable, depending on what I'm doing or whether I haven't moved something over yet. Yeah, they're both. Teachable is a little more user-friendly for certain things because it doesn't have as many options in it. New Zenler is an all-in-one platform. All right, that's it. ContentSparks.com/social selling is your link. If you have questions, tag us on Facebook. That's where we are most likely to see your question, or you can also send any questions into support@ContentSparks.com. So that's our support email. Oh, which Sarah also put up. There you go. Now you get both. We're going to go back and forth. I do love StreamYard. All right. Goodbye, everybody. We're going to sign off. I'm going to go finish packing. And next time I see you, I will be in another country again. Take care. Talk soon.